You ever have that feeling? You know, the one where the world just feels like it's spinning a little too fast, a little out of control? Well, what if I told you there's a letter almost 2,000 years old that feels like it was written for this exact moment? Today, we're going to take one of its most powerful chapters and turn it into a visual story that I promise you won't forget. Let's start right there with that question, because I think it's something we all wrestle with. That feeling of chaos, of instability. Well, believe it or not, this ancient letter speaks right to that, and it actually offers a roadmap that is surprisingly clear for our times. All right, let's dive into verse 1. It kicks things off with a pretty serious warning. But know this, that in the last days, perilous times will come. To really get this, I want you to picture it. Dark, heavy storm clouds just rolling in and gathering over a modern city skyline. You can almost feel that static in the air, right? That sense of foreboding. The stage is set. Now, the text doesn't just leave us with that vague warning. Nope. It hands us a field guide, a sort of checklist of the attitudes and behaviors that define these difficult times. Let's walk through this gallery of portraits together, starting right at verse 2. Okay, so verse 2 comes at you fast. It starts with lovers of themselves. Just picture a man so captivated by his own reflection that he's completely blind to everything and everyone else. Then, lovers of money. Imagine a woman's hands clutching cash so tightly her knuckles are turning white. It's painting this picture of a world where the self and our stuff are put on a pedestal. And the second half of verse 2 keeps going, showing how these attitudes break down relationships. Disobedient to parents. Think of a teenager just turning their back, not just on their family, but on wisdom and guidance. Unthankful. A guy sneering at a gift he's just been given, totally incapable of gratitude. And then unholy. Someone just casually trampling over something sacred without a second thought. It's a deep, deep lack of respect for anything outside of themselves. Verse 3 goes even deeper into this breakdown of how we treat each other. First, unloving. Picture someone turning a cold, emotionless shoulder to a person who's clearly in need. Then, unforgiving. Imagine someone clutching a grudge like it's a heavy stone, holding onto it so hard it hurts them more than anyone else. And slanderers? See whispers spreading like poison from one person to another, twisting the truth, ruining reputations. And the back half of verse 3 shows what happens when all this stuff festers. Without self-control, someone just exploding in rage over something tiny, brutal, an act of cruelty that's completely needless. And then you get this really chilling phrase, despisers of good. This isn't just ignoring good things, it's actively hating and mocking kindness itself. Verse 4 really gets into where our loyalties lie, or where they don't. Traitors, it's that classic image, right? Someone stabbing a friend in the back. Headstrong, picture someone just charging ahead recklessly, ignoring every warning sign. And then it gives us the final, stark contrast. Lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God. The visual is a scene cutting back and forth between a wild, chaotic party and an empty, dusty church. So, verse 5 ties this whole section together brilliantly. These people have a form of godliness but deny its power. The best way to picture this, think of a beautiful, perfectly decorated chocolate bunny. It looks great on the outside, but you tap it and it's completely hollow. All show, no substance. And the text gives a really clear command here. From such people, turn away. The visual is simple. You see the hollowness, and you physically turn and walk away. Now, verse 6 gets super specific. It's almost like a scene from a thriller movie. Picture a shadowy figure slipping unnoticed through the front door of a nice, quiet home. Their target? A vulnerable woman who's described as being weighed down by these invisible chains of guilt and desire. And that makes her an easy captive. Okay, verse 7. This one feels like it was written for the age of the internet. Listen to this. Always learning and never able to come to the knowledge of the truth. I mean, just imagine someone endlessly scrolling on their phone, taking in this fire hose of information, opinions, hot takes. They're so busy learning everything that they never actually look up to grasp the one solid truth that's been right in front of them the whole time. Then verse 8 throws us into a flashback, all the way back to ancient Egypt. Picture these two court magicians, Janus and Jambres, and they're trying to copy Moses' miracles. But they're using cheap tricks, smoke and mirrors. They're putting on a big show, but it completely falls apart when it's up against real, authentic power. It's the age-old contest between illusion and truth. And verse 9 shows us exactly how that magic show ends. They will progress no further. Boom. The curtain gets pulled back, revealing all the flimsy props and the smoke machines. The illusion just collapses, and their foolishness is laid bare for everyone to see. Okay, let's take a breath. After that really intense gallery of perilous people, you might be feeling a little heavy. But right here, the whole letter pivots. It completely shifts. It stops talking about them and all the chaos, and it turns its focus directly to you.
This is the turning point. Two simple words, but you. As we see that on the screen, just imagine a single, brightly lit path suddenly appearing, cutting a straight, clear line right through a dark and tangled forest. The contrast, well, the contrast is everything.
So verse 10 starts laying out what this other path looks like. But unlike that chaotic list from before, this isn't a list of vices. No, these are virtues to follow. I want you to see them as solid stepping stones on that path. Doctrine, manner of life, purpose, faith, love, perseverance. Each one is a firm place to plant your feet in the middle of all the chaos.
Now, verse 11 shows us right away that this path is not the easy route. Picture quick, sharp flashes of persecution, angry crowds, stones being thrown. But here's the key. After each flash of hardship, see a hand reaching down from above, lifting that person right back to their feet, even stronger than before. And then verse 12 hits us with a dose of straight-up reality. It says it plainly. Anyone who desires to live this way will suffer persecution. The image here is a hiker who willingly chooses the steep, rocky, uphill path instead of the easy downhill one. Why would they do that? Because they know the view from the top is worth the climb. And verse 13 gives us the perfect contrast to our hiker climbing the mountain. The evil men and imposters, they're on a downward escalator. They're not climbing, they are sinking. Deceiving and being deceived, they just descend deeper and deeper into a fog where they can't even tell what's true anymore. So there's the choice, right? The difficult uphill climb toward the light or the easy escalator down into the fog. If you choose the climb, what gear do you have for the journey? Well, this final section gives us the God-breathed blueprint. Verse 14 tells us to continue in the things which you have learned. I want you to picture someone building a strong wall. Every single brick is a truth they've been taught, and they place each brick with confidence, not just because the brick itself is solid, but because they completely trust the one who gave it to them. Verse 15 shows us that this isn't about finding some new trick to get you through a crisis. No, this is about a deep, lifelong foundation. Picture a small child sitting and reading a large, ancient book, and the light from the pages is just illuminating their face with wonder and wisdom. And verse 16 breaks down the purpose of that book. Think of it like a divine toolkit for your hike. Doctrine, that's the map showing you where you're going. Reproof, that's the little "you are here" marker that shows you when you've wandered off the trail. Correction, that's the compass that points you right back home. And instruction, that's the training manual for how to actually walk the path. And finally, verse 17 gives us our closing image. We see our hiker again, a man, now standing confidently at the trailhead. He's got the map, he's got the compass, he's done the training. He's looking at the exact same perilous woods from the beginning of our story, but now he isn't afraid. He is complete, thoroughly equipped. He's looking right past the dark forest toward that sunlit mountain peak. So the letter leaves us with this final thought. The times will be perilous, for sure. The real question is, will you be equipped for the journey?